Welcome back to another
Hello,
episode of
hello.
Open Shutter. Evans, we don't know where Evans is. Evans has her sound effects. Makes a good entry into the show, but he's not here. So fortunately, just stuck with Bryan and myself. We have a special guest, Ibad, on with the show. We're going to talk about his story with photography, and his Instagram handle is in the banner, the description. It's everywhere. So please go check him out because he has some really good stuff. So we're going to chat about his photography. If you don't know who I am or you're coming from Ibad's side, my name is Paul. Uh, Photographer, content creator, YouTuber based in Toronto. We do this show every Wednesday, and we try to get on as many guests as possible to share their kind of story. And if you're interested in coming on with us one week, let us know because we'd be glad to have you. And yeah, I don't know. My channel's about all kinds of stuff: vlogs, documentaries, short films. So if you don't know what my channel's about, check it out after because you're on it. So it's just convenient. And yeah, that's the pitch. The show also airs on Spotify and Google Podcasts. So if you don't like looking at Bryan and myself's faces, then you can just put it on Spotify. And
And we
it
wouldn't
works.
blame you for that either.
Yeah,
Really wouldn't blame you for
exactly.
that.
We also have a special guest. Bryan has joined us from the depths.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
yeah, man. Tell the
Life
people who
happens,
are you
man.
what you do.
Well, most people know I am Bryan McGowan,
Yeah,
photographer,
yeah,
videographer,
yeah.
based out of Brampton, Ontario, and I do a ghost hunting YouTube channel,
He does. It's
and I
true. He
do
does.
a lot of photography for a lot of local arts groups, and it's been keeping me very busy lately. And they all want
Wednesdays
photos on
are-
Wednesday nights, so
Yeah, you gotta tell them, man. Wednesdays is it's a tough one.
yeah.
Tough one. But anyway,
Anyway,
Bryan's
we're gonna talk about
YouTube link.
today, so.
Yeah, Bryan's YouTube link's in the description. Go check him out if you don't know, if you haven't already. And yeah,
Thanks.
don't want to waste too much time, so we'll get right to it. Ibad, thanks again for taking the time. Why don't you give the viewers, listeners, like a quick kind of intro about yourself?
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Bryan, for having me today. I'm overwhelmed and I'm excited to be here.
You're excited.
Yeah, I am because this is my first YouTube live session. I've never been on a live session
No
before,
pressure,
so
man. No pressure.
so I hope that Paul and Bryan, you guys will go easy on me.
We will. You're lucky. You're lucky. You're lucky. Evans isn't here because he would have got really hard on you.
Oh God!
Yeah,
Oh God!
really
All
hard.
right.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
Well, then Lady Luck is smiling at me right now, so
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
happy. So a little bit about myself. Yeah, I'm a hobbyist photographer. I don't do photography professionally, and it's just a hobby that I've picked up for a very long time now. But it's something that I find quite passionate about now. It
Yeah.
serves. It's just not a hobby. I would say it's more than a hobby now. For me, it's like a stress reliever. It's a
Exactly.
catharsis for me. When I have the stressful day, and I have a weekend
100%.
coming up, for sure, photography always excites me.
Yeah.
But I also like to think of myself as an aspiring writer. I'm not a good writer as yet, but I like to, but I like to feel inspired by the different scenes that I see on the streets, or when I am able to capture those,
Okay.
or when I look at other photographs of other photographers. There's
Okay.
always something that my mind wants to say, and I want to say it in my own words, and I love doing that. It's like I feel quite relieved when I've penned my words and my thoughts. So
Yeah.
it excites me, yeah. So
Interesting.
my main channel, my main work is on Instagram. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know.
Fortunate.
Uh,
Fortunate.
but I would say that because with Instagram, I've managed to have a lot of I've made a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Not only back in my home country, but also here in Canada. So just a little bit about myself. I am basically from Pakistan, so you'll see a lot of photos actually coming from the
They're
streets
really
of
good.
Pakistan.
They're so good.
Basically from Karachi, which is the hub of city. It's a key metropolitan in the country.
Yep.
I recently moved to Canada for about like 1.5 year now. I'm
Mm-hmm.
currently based in Brampton.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good
With
sites in
Bryan.
Brampton for sure, but
With Bryan.
Toronto is, yeah. Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yes,
I
he
didn't know
is.
that.
Yeah.
Hello, neighbor. Then.
Yes.
So that's a bit about myself. And professionally, I'm an IT professional. My area of expertise is project management, and
Okay.
that's what I do. That's what earns me the money.
Yeah, no, it's a great story. Just question about, I guess, about the writing. Like, what kind of writing is it?
It's mostly creative and abstract writing.
Okay.
I find writing as the a very integral part of myself,
Yeah.
as a way to explore my thoughts, as a way
Mhm.
to explore my personality,
Right.
and it sort of, so what I do is, like, sometimes when I scroll back to those old photos or the old written pieces of mine,
Hmm.
it's sort of, and I think about where I am now. It helps me remember my older self and how far I've made
Right.
from that past to
Exactly.
until today. So it's sort of,
Yeah.
it's exciting. Sometimes I get emotional. Of course, it's sentimental at times, because with time you have more responsibilities. You lose a lot of your own, the child self
Yeah.
inside of you. And because writing and photography, and I would say art, has been very close to my heart
Mm,
from the very beginning. It helps me to reconnect. It helps me to go back to that
yeah.
time and feel relaxed, basically.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It's a really important to like document yourself, be it photography or be it writing or be it painting or whatever like form it is, because it's cool to look back upon it. Then not necessarily like, right now, but in a year, 2 years, 5 years, you can see like the growth, So it just seems like you're doing it like in multiple ways, like writing and photography. Like there's still, you know what I mean? Like they're kind of like documenting like your path,
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and really, I try to relate my, well, if people know me, like my friends and my close family members, if they know me very well, they would be able to relate that a lot of my photography and even my writing, uh, they connect, like they have a very loose connection. But at
Yeah.
the same time, if you're able to make that connection, it starts feeling very strong.
Mm,
And sometimes I have heard from a lot of people, or sending me messages, or DMing me. They sort of relate to it, especially
yes.
when, because I've been through a lot of I would say mental stress as well.
Hmm.
Like things like depression, or I've been close to people who have suffered through things like depression or anxiety or
Hmm.
other issues that we hear about commonly.
Hmm.
And it helps to connect with those people, and especially being in an environment where a lot of these issues are not talked about.
Right.
Maybe it's a taboo to talk about it, or people think of them as a social stigma. Things
Hmm.
like, like I was mentioning depression, or I'm mentioning other mental diseases, or even sexuality, for that matter.
Sure.
So a
Sure.
lot of people, even those developed countries, we don't want to talk about it, or we
Hmm.
don't want to talk about what people who are actually going through it are feeling at the
Hmm.
time, or how they go about their daily lives, living with that fact or that reality. So when I write those things down, and there are people who are able to understand this, or connect with this, or reflect with those
Yeah.
words,
Sure.
it just helps me. It
Yeah.
satisfied me. It's like i'm I've opened doors for somebody who has not talked to anybody about
Yes.
their
Yeah.
situation,
Yeah.
and they're approaching me, and
It's power,
it's quite
man. That's
relieving, for
power.
sure.
That's powerful stuff, though, right? Like
I
you never know who you're gonna connect with. Like, it doesn't matter what
absolutely.
like medium it is. Like, you don't know who you're gonna connect with at what time either, right? So, I think that's the power of be it writing or be it photography or be it whatever the form is. Like, if you're able to connect with someone and you can help someone out, I think that's pretty cool. Like,
Thank
you know
you.
what I mean?
And just to give you a little bit of a backstory, like what actually inspired me to do something like this. So
Mm,
I was on Instagram for a very long time, but
mhm.
like it so naturally happens, Instagram was very new at the time, and we were not very serious. Facebook was
Yep.
the main platform for
Yep.
connecting with people.
Yep.
But then I've recently left, not left Facebook, but it's quite inactive over there.
Sure.
But
I think that
the
fits most people now. Actually.
right,
Mm,
exactly.
Yeah.
Especially for photographers and writers, I think it's a very good platform to connect with, like-minded
sure.
people, individuals,
Yeah.
and artists for that matter. So there was one instance or one incident, I would say, that went very viral, especially in the eastern part of the world where I come from, and
Okay.
that was a video of somebody who committed suicide it at a very holy place.
Oh,
So you might have heard of it, Saudi Arabia, Mecca. Somebody actually
yeah.
jumped from a high story building and they committed suicide in a very holy place. So that video actually
Mm,
went viral,
mm,
and it led me to it. And I saw, unfortunately, I saw that video in the middle of in the death of night, like after midnight, and
mm.
I could not sleep that night. And then I decided that. I was reading about it, like what happened, why that person committed suicide, and it came to light that that person was suffering from depression.
Mm.
And when it comes to depression, you just need that one trigger to it can lead to somebody committing suicide.
Mhm.
And then that's where I decided that if nobody else is doing it, then I need to speak about it. So that was the first time I did a live session. I
Okay.
actually did a lot of research on depression. I did a research on that event, and I invited a friend of mine uh, who recently secured a license for psychiatry. So
Okay.
she was a psychiatrist. He was practicing, and I
Mhm.
invited her as well, and we both spoke on Instagram, and I asked
Okay.
her all the sort of questions most people would ask,
Right.
and we also shared a lot of details and data. You'd be
Okay.
surprised once we close that session.
Yeah.
For about a month, I kept receiving a lot of DMs,
Yeah.
people thanking me for talking these out,
Yeah.
and a lot of people actually started sharing their own stories of depression.
Yeah.
Now, me, I am not an expert, but for me it was heartening to see that there's so many people who actually want to open up and want
Yeah.
to share their stories, but they just need somebody to listen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if at all
100%.
social media can actually provide has that power, it's just that we need time for each other. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I was just gonna say that you're using like social media for good, right? Like it's not about like the likes or the followers or whatever it is. Like you're actually using it for good. Like you're actually using the power of the platform itself, right?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
And
it's like,
that's
go ahead.
sorry. So that's where I updated my Instagram as well, and the first thing that I wrote, and I've never removed it since then. If you can see in the
Yeah.
bio, it says the only
Let
way
me
is
share your IG. Yeah, I'll share your IG so people can see it.
sure.
Yeah.
uh,
There you go.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So the last line, which says the only way,
Compassion.
colon compassion.
Mhm.
So that's has this line has been there since that event,
Since
I would
that.
say.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and
Wow.
that's what my story has been all about.
Wow.
Yeah,
Crazy, man. Crazy story. Like just like, you again, like you never know who you're gonna impact, right? So
absolutely.
wow. Yeah, I mean, since we're on your Instagram account, I mean, we can quickly kind of go through it. And you can maybe, I kind of want to show the photos from Pakistan first because they're just so good.
For sure.
We were just talking offline about like where to start with the Pakistan set, and like I don't have no idea because like they're just so good. But like, feel free to stop me as I'm scrolling through your grid. Maybe there's a photo that speaks to you more, or
I mean, you can open any of the photos, but
yeah.
while you're just scrolling through,
Hmm.
I'll just give you my backstory as well. So
Sure.
I I never I well until I think I was in my or I would say early 20s, I never had a professional camera.
Hmm.
I was using my phone. My first brand of camera phone, I would say, was a Chinese brand. Then I had a Samsung, and then
Yeah.
I switched to OnePlus, which has been my favorite since then. So a
Hmm.
lot of my earlier photos, at least before 2018, I would roughly 2018, are were done using my phone.
Sure. Sure.
And
Nothing
then
about that.
and then I found, when I became more active on Instagram, I happened to come across a few like-minded photographers who were happy to, like we do meetups right here in
Yeah,
Toronto.
that's where we met.
They agreed to, yeah, that's where we met. And
Mm,
so they decided to step out, into the streets and
yeah.
photograph the streets. Now,
Mm,
like we were talking earlier, I never realized that, things that we see every day, people are around us or things around us,
yeah.
be it as small as, a letterbox, or a dog,
Mhm.
a street dog, was not very important until and unless I picked up a camera and I thought of a story,
Yeah.
uh, or just think of it, somebody who's just walking by on the street with a
Yeah.
bag or with
Yeah.
anything, buying something from the grocery store. How can I reflect my thoughts on that particular situation? And that's
Yeah.
where things became very interesting. And since
Mm.
2018, the group had grown quite a lot. And I as a group, we were able to host a lot of meetups, and we called it
Yeah.
photo walks over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing.
And then, just early morning, we would go into the streets, photograph different stuff.
Yeah.
And then because the knowledge or the information about this became this photo walk became so popular. A lot of our friends from outside of Pakistan actually
Yeah.
connected with us, and they were happy that, if they're visiting Pakistan,
Yeah.
they would reach out to us, and we would, take them along. And yeah, it was an exciting journey. I miss that group for sure. And
Mm.
it took us to a lot of places.
Yeah. No, that's just the power of groups, right?
Yep.
That's just the power of groups.
So
You gotta
the
run that way.
the streets, although the streets were up, my parents and my family was always very apprehensive of me stepping out with an
Mhm.
expensive camera in the streets, because,
Mhm.
you know well, street crime is pretty common. It's not bad, but it has improved the situation. But
Mm.
I was so surprised to see that, people were very welcoming towards the
Yeah.
camera.
Good.
And a lot of them, to my own surprise, was, um, they were ready to share their stories. They were ready to share
Yeah.
their struggles. And sometimes we would have to actually stop them, because, we are running out of time, and then we don't want to, make them,
Mhm.
sit with us for hours on length.
Yeah.
So it was exciting.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it.
All
I love
right.
this photo too that I have up.
Yeah. Okay. So
I like.
this. Okay. So this is actually now, this person is actually, he's not from Karachi. So this is one of
Mhm.
the, we visited the mountains. So the north side of Pakistan is mostly mountainous regions. So these are places where, uh, people are not involved in regular jobs, but they're mostly like farmers, or they're shepherds,
Okay.
or they earn their money through, entertaining the tourists. Now, it's very funny that, these fetched areas, you find a lot of fairy tales, and you'll find a lot of folklore over there, right? So it's
Mm.
if you sit with these people, they will tell you stories that will amaze you. They will talk about things like fairies and princesses, and so this person, so this person was, he was very eager to share some, those
Yeah.
fantasy stories. I mean, as a tourist who have visited this place quite a lot of time, we know that this is just a myth. This is just hearsay, right? There's no factual, these are not factual stories. But it's interesting to see, these people getting excited about, their own stories that they've probably heard from their, grandfathers, and, the line of families. So this person is actually, sharing that with us. A story about a prince and how he drowned himself in the lake that was like besides him, uh, because he was in love with a fairy princess. So you can see in his eyes how excited he is sharing that story with with
Yeah,
us.
I know he's into it, eh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just like the look, man. I just like the look. I don't know. Yeah, you gotta like. How do you like usually like approach shots? Because you do really well with like symmetry. Like, how do
Yes.
you approach it?
So, so yeah. So there
This one is so cool.
comes some of the things that actually interest me while I'm photographing is, yeah. So there has to be certain patterns. So patterns attract me, symmetry for sure, and I think symmetry and patterns are easy to see and
Mm,
easy to. For me, it's very hard for me to ignore them. Now, if you look at this one, this is basically mud. I would say mud pots,
yeah. Okay.
and
And
they're
how are you?
made by hand.
And how are you shooting this? Like, are you
Oh,
just?
so I
Yeah.
just so they were there. So what they do is they make them and they let them they put them on the floor to for them to dry in the sun. So they were on the floor and they're not as big. I think they were like these small.
That's one thing with this photo is you have no sense of scale. So these things could be
Yeah. I know.
8 feet across, or they
Yeah.
could
Exactly.
be fit in the
Right,
palm of your hand. You have no sense of scale.
right. So I just
Disorienting. Yeah.
took my camera like this and then clicked it.
Cool, man. Yeah, like Brian said, like you don't have a sense of scale, so you don't know how big or how small they are. So
Yeah.
just like a little bit like a mystery to them, you know.
Yep. And so that's one other thing, with photography, I always, or even with my writing, I always like to leave things hanging. Uh,
Mm,
because I want the reader or the viewer to fill in their own thoughts and their own imagery or your background experiences into that work, and I think that's what makes it more relevant.
right. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great shot, man. Love it.
Hmm.
Even like now, like talking about scale. Like here you go.
Mhm.
Now you have scale. So cool, man.
So again, Pakistan is famous for the stories of saints and
Yeah,
Sufis.
that's why.
S- and some of the places in Pakistan, they have a cluster of these monuments,
Mm,
and they're basically holy shrines of the saints or the Sufis that have passed hundreds of thousands of years ago.
yeah.
This is one of the most visited sites if anybody wants to visit Pakistan. This is actually in Multan. It's a city called Multan.
Okay.
It's further up north from where I come from.
Okay. Excellent. I also like this photo too, man. Just something about it. Just the way that he's just standing
Yeah.
there, like
So, well, like I mentioned before, there's people. Some of the people are actually
in the
very
photo
happy
walk.
that they're being photographed. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he
one of the
liked it.
photo
Eh?
walks.
And this
So
is
if you,
crew
yeah,
here. This
yeah,
is
this
your
was the
crew.
right.
Okay.
And I think I have so one of my friends, Kate, the first person, Katen. So he was actually traveling from the US. He's a photographer in Boston,
Mm,
and he traveled to Pakistan when he heard about this group, and he joined us, and we took him to the downtown of Pakistan, of
mm,
Karachi, sorry.
mm,
So what is this person doing? So so these plastic boxes are actually cages, which are used to
mm.
carry hens or chicken, from the farms, livestock farms, to the market.
Yeah.
And he's one of the person who actually unloads or loads these trucks. He's actually standing
Oh,
on top of a truck. And the interesting fact or the interesting composition about this photo at the time was the framing. It
yeah.
was interesting that he was just standing between these
I know.
boxes.
Yeah. I think, and like again, echoing Brian's sentiment is that you don't know how high up he is.
Right.
Could be like really high, or but
There was one other, I don't know if I can find it. It's
yeah.
probably way at the bottom. I don't
Bottom.
know.
Yeah, I don't
Hmm.
know. These all these photos are so cool. Even this one is you just got a moment, You just grab it, got a moment like that.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
this is again street photography. So street photography is also something which is very interesting. So there's one thing that I've learned with photography, and I think that it's one of the it's one of the source of my inspiration is
Mm-hmm.
the soul of of the city or of the place that you are now.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this to you earlier, Paul, as well. Maybe when we last met, or maybe on the calls on
Mm-hmm.
the first call we
Mm-hmm.
had before on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when I moved to Canada, one of the I had a creative block. I could not pick up my camera. I could not write,
Okay.
and I realized that one of the reasons was, number one, it was COVID, so of course everything
Yep.
was
I've
closed.
said. Yeah.
So, and number two was because there was COVID, I was not able to connect with a lot of people, especially in Canada. I have a lot of following, or my most of my followers are actually from Pakistan or from India
Okay.
or from that side of the world.
Okay.
But when I got here, I could not connect to the culture. I could not
Mm.
understand like what is most important, and if what is that those key things that I should pick on when
Yeah.
I'm photographing, and or
Right.
on photographing even on the street, that I would be able to relate to,
Yeah.
with people in Canada, you
Yeah.
know. um, uh, and so, but I think the more I went out, and now that the things are opening up after COVID, it's
Yeah.
I hope that the lives will become easier, and
Yeah.
I would be able to find more inspiration. Now with
Yeah.
this story, I know that these kids, for example, they are of course you can tell by the looks that they're coming from a very
Mm-hmm.
humble families, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I know that their fathers or their families are mostly involved in shipping,
Mm-hmm.
and they're fishermen mostly, because
Okay.
this picture was taken close to the port.
Okay.
So a lot of people who are living close to the shoreline, they're involved in this business. Like, they speak a different language altogether.
Oh, do
um,
you?
so their children, of course, they grow up to become they follow the footstep of
Okay.
their fathers and forefathers. And the girls usually they are mostly taught, or I would say basically they focus more towards home, becoming
Mm-hmm.
homemakers, and they're very good homemakers. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even with the frugal amount that they earn every each day, they go by normally. They have proper food at home,
Mm-hmm.
and but for these kids, you can see, they're not wearing any shoes.
Yeah.
uh, they're not taking care too much of their personal hygiene, because that's what their life is, and
Mm.
they don't for them this is normal.
Right.
They would, and their body is trained for their bodies are hardened for it. Even
Mm.
if you touch their feet, they'll be hard. If you touch their hands, even at this age, they'll be hard, because they are involved with you know with the ground, with nature mostly. So
Right.
this is what
Mm.
keeps them healthy. You pick these kids up and put them to an urban clean
Right.
house,
Yeah.
they'll probably
Yeah.
they'll probably want to run back.
Yeah. They wouldn't be used to it. Yeah. It's all relative, right? It's all relative to like your experience.
Right.
Like what's normal for some person may not be normal for someone else, right?
Absolutely, that's a
Yeah.
very good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I wanted to, with that hard lined reality, I still want to capture uh, that innocence, because at the end of the day they are kids, right? So they're
Yeah.
innocent, they don't know.
Yeah.
So I think that that plastic cup, which you can see
Mm. Yeah.
on the
Bottom
bottom
left.
left,
Yeah.
that sort of helped me with that, with that, because that's got a small
That for money?
heart
Is
sign.
that for money? Like, is that for money, that cup?
No, 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 no.
No.
That was
Okay.
not. No, no.
Okay.
They were not beggars. Again,
Okay. Okay.
they don't beg. They work. They
They
have a
work.
hard. They work hard labor. They're probably
Mm.
out into the sea for weeks, or maybe
Mm.
on 2 3 days.
Wow. These are
But
kids.
no, not the kids. The kids won't go. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the fathers.
The fathers.
So
Okay.
these kids, how they spend their time. So they're mostly home taught, homeschooled,
Right. Yeah.
or they help their mothers in the evening, or
Yeah.
they're mostly into religious schools as well, but they're
Mm.
not begging. That's important, they're not
Okay.
begging. Yep.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Yeah, I just liked how you got the moment. Like you just everyone's looking each kid's looking a different way, you know. So
Yep.
it's just an interesting. for you to compose the photo? And I mean, like, are you like, what kind of lens are you using here? Are you using a phone? Like, what?
No, no, no. So I was using my standard Canon lens, the standard one
Okay, it's
that
the
came
zoom
with my
lens.
phone. No, no, it's a standard 18
Okay,
to 55. Yeah, I just
55.
have two
Okay,
lenses. I just have the 18 to 30, the 55, which is the
55.
kit lens that came
Yeah,
with
yeah.
this camera, and I have
Mhm.
the Canon zoom lens 75 to 300 millimeter. That's it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just curious, like, how close you were to the kids when you shot the photo.
I wasn't too far. I think
Yeah,
just like across the street.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And interestingly, these we they were I was not the only photographer on in that in this scene. There are other photographers probably standing on left and right.
Yeah,
But see how
yeah.
these kids are not worried. These kids are not worried at all.
No, no. Yeah, I guess there's so much life going on around, right? That it's you just have to pay attention to like what's around you.
Yep, yep.
You know what I mean? But yeah, there's just so even this one, this photo's so cool. What is this?
Yeah, so
Ooh.
this is an interesting story. So as I also enjoy my time volunteering for social purposes,
Mhm.
philanthropy. That was very much close to my heart, especially when I got off
Yep.
from my university and I had some time. So I joined this organization called the Citizens Foundation. They are
Mhm.
basically providing free education uh, to street kids, mostly to the underprivileged
Mhm.
children and families. So during we they have the school had arranged a 7 day session for these kids, where they're actually taught character building,
Mm.
or basically they're shown that vision, that they have a life outside of the school and they have a life outside of their houses. Where so these
Mm.
underprivileged kids, they would, if they're not going to school, they would think that all that they have, the opportunities that they have is limited to what their forefathers or fathers are doing.
Mm.
Or the girls, they would think that all that they would do when when they grow up is um, be homemakers, or that
Mm.
they cannot earn their own living if they wanted to.
Mm.
So coming from another part of the world, we sort of connect with these children and we tell them our stories, and we inspire them that once you graduate from the 10th grade,
Right.
which is the secondary school level in Pakistan, you
Mhm.
have you always have a future, a bright future you can look forward to. You can
Mm.
go to universities, you can go to uh, bigger colleges, not just in Pakistan but elsewhere, everywhere around the world.
Mm.
And then you can be in proper jobs. If you want to, you can be project managers like me, or photographers, or
Mm. Mm.
anything you want, or anything that you aspire to become in the future. And that
Excellent.
program has actually helped, because a lot of people, a lot of children who graduated from these schools have joined different organizations, have even joined international institutions for higher education. So
Wow.
it so
Wow.
in one of these sessions, we would invite a hero speaker. So what a
Okay.
hero speaker would do, these are individuals, like for example this old lady, she would tell her, or they would tell their own story of struggles,
Okay.
and how they came out of that struggle and made a life for themselves. And it's just one of those ways to inspire those kids. If you can look at the back, that this
Mhm.
kid, now you
Mhm.
can imagine, like, why would a kid of his age, is probably
Mhm.
in his ninth or eighth grade probably, uh, would listen to an elderly person, right?
Mm. Mm.
But the stories that you hear from these people are are so inspiring. Even we
Yeah.
feel moved, and we start to feel that, hey, we haven't done enough in our lives.
Yeah.
These could be people
Huh.
who have suffered through severe accidents, or loss
Mm.
of limbs, or so many family issues or societal issues. And even some of them are coming from these from the same families that these children belong to.
Yeah.
So it's good
Oh,
to see
man.
them inspired and
Yeah.
making their own lives.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to learn from your elders, and it's all about like experience too, right? Like people go through different things, so
Yep, yep.
it's quite powerful. So you volunteered with this organization?
Yes, yes.
So what was your role there?
So I initially, it was just as a volunteer. I was part of a group, so we were all assigned into a group of two volunteers who
Okay.
have a group of 8 or 9 children.
Hmm.
And then there's a set uh, pattern or things that we talk about on the 7 days. um,
Hmm.
and it involves like vocational activities, or storytelling, or
Yeah.
taking them outside, to show them how people in their, even if you take these children in their own neighborhood, and you tell them that, hey, look at this guy, he has opened his own shop. If
Yeah.
you want to, if you think you have the skills, these entrepreneurial skills, then for sure you can
Yeah.
do that same. You don't have to,
Of
if your
course.
father is, let's say, if he is a gardener or a
Yeah.
carpenter, and if you don't want to follow
Yeah.
the same path, you have other roles and responsibilities that you can serve as a citizens of this world, right?
Yeah. Oh,
So that's what we do. And then when because I was involved with this organization for 5 to 10 years, I think around 10 years.
yeah. No way.
Then
10
I
years?
graduate.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. So I graduated as a from a volunteer to a coordinator and to a
Great.
team lead. So it grew
Great.
from there.
Wow. So are they? Is this organization only based in Pakistan, or is it around the world?
So they have, I think, some reach in the US, in Canada, I think elsewhere as well.
Mm,
But the schools, they are just in Pakistan, because that's where
mm,
their focus is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful, man. That's powerful stuff. Jeez.
I mean, you
Love
hear
it.
these stories, and like a 10-year-old kid, or a teenager,
Yeah.
he's working the night in a
Yeah.
factory, right?
Mm,
Hard labor. And in the morning at 7 o'clock, he has to come to school. And then
mm-hmm.
in the evening, of course, when you attend school, you have homework. He has to complete his homework. And then, at and if he's the eldest among the siblings, he has to do he may have certain responsibilities towards the family. And then
Yeah.
at night, everything is the same. You have to go to the
Yeah.
factory at night. So it's a hard life, right? And
Sure.
when you
Yeah.
connect with these people, then you're thankful, and you realize that, hey, there's more to the world, and more than that than meets our eye, than what worries us, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
people who are struggling more than us, for sure.
Yeah. 100%, man. Definitely. Yeah. It's about just about like challenging yourself, to just to kind of like follow your dreams, right? And not kind of be like pigeonholed into like a certain kind of lifestyle, I guess, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Powerful.
And I think for a lot of people, that's my personal advice. Like, if you're feeling uh, that you have been overwhelmed by issues. I know, some of these issues are very, very serious, and they have to be taken up by professionals. But
Hmm.
I do advise that, go out, help other people, because it sort of
Yeah.
helps. When you're helping other people, you sort of help yourself.
Yeah.
And it's very important that we have that sort of, what should I say,
Yeah.
that
Philosophy.
right, that philosophy.
Yeah.
Thank you
Hmm.
for that. So
Hmm. Yeah. No, it's we need more people like you in the world, man. Jeez. Wow, that's powerful stuff, man. Um, yeah, no, I agree. I agree for sure. We could spend like hours just going through your grid, man. But for the viewers and listeners, definitely go check them out because there's a lot of good stuff. I kind of want to touch upon like what you like about Toronto, too.
yeah,
Kind of
let's
switching
do that.
gears too, and like I guess maybe like some of your favorite spots in the city to photograph since you've been here. You have any that kind of? I mean, I also like love this photo by the way. I know that's one that you sent me. That's so good.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a little backstory to how this photo was edited. Of course, it was not black and white, but I didn't even
Mm,
take it in a monochrome
mm,
uh, setting on my camera.
Digital
But before,
footprint's corrupted. Oh, corrupted is never a good word.
right.
Yeah,
Right. What inspired me to actually make that sort of an edit was before I came here, I met a person. He was traveling from the UK, and
mm,
again, we connected through Instagram, and he was a huge film buff, and
yeah,
he was actually carrying a film camera.
yeah.
And I was surprised. I was like, how did you even find a film?
Oh, they're around, man. The
Right.
film's out there.
So I was surprised, and at
Yeah,
this, and he's coming from the UK, and he was all,
yeah,
he's talented. He does, he actually sells his work as well, and his work was amazing, and I think
yeah.
amazing is a small word for the work that he did, but
Hmm.
when he showed me his pictures, I was like, man, there's a lot that I'm actually missing, going digital. And
Yeah,
I say
yeah,
this especially
yeah.
because and I know this because I am from the IT background, so I know what we're losing and what we're gaining. But
Okay.
digital photography versus film photography.
Mm.
Film photography will never ever lose its value. I mean,
No.
for good photographers, videographers such as yourself, and I'm
Mm,
sure the other people who are listening and who are photographers themselves, they would agree that the older it gets, the more value
mm,
it will hold, right? The old is
mm,
gold is how the word
mhm.
goes, right?
Yeah,
So when I this was my first view of Toronto from Central Island,
yeah, man.
and
Love it.
I have never seen Toronto skyline from this
Mm,
side of
mm,
and this was I think I posted it much later than when I actually shot this.
mm.
uh,
How come?
but yeah, so the reason I edited it is because immediately thought of that person, and this image actually, I wanted to bring that contrast of old versus the new. So the
Right.
buildings, everything
Yes.
else that you see, the content of the photo is new. The buildings, I mean,
Yes.
I don't know what Toronto would look, what was look was looking like back in,
Yeah.
20, 30 days. Probably not
Mm.
many
No
buildings.
condos. No condos.
No condos.
No.
Maybe the CN Tower would be the
The
only
CN
thing
Tower
standing.
was CN Tower and
CN Tower
Skyline.
was mid 70s, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, but the if you look at this photo closely,
Mm-hmm.
you would see the grains on the photo,
Mm-hmm.
and the purpose of putting those grains was to give that old
Yeah.
touch to
That
it.
film. That film look. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's I
Mm.
try to make contrast with everything, not just the photo itself, the content, but also the colors. So I wanted to
Yeah.
have a strike contrast between the whites and the blacks.
Yeah.
And if you can, like, if you can see that the little buildings there, they tend to move more towards the black side. Even the bottom of the boat is mostly black,
Mm.
and the color is mostly white. Now, you would be interested to know that I edited this photo on in Lightroom on my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
I
Do
I
I?
didn't
Do that too.
I did not have the Lightroom on my laptop, and I was
Yeah.
using the free Lightroom application on
Yeah.
the Android phone.
Yeah.
So
It
of course,
works.
with limited features, it's the best that I could come up with.
Yeah.
But there was a thought behind it.
There's also an app called Snapseed for the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, Snapseed is so
Yep.
good.
So if you
Snapseed
don't,
is
I
good
mean,
too.
it's just another tool to edit, and it's free. So
Yep.
besides Lightroom, but yeah, it's a good photo, man. I dig it.
So, with I think when we last met, uh, I think that was last month. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paul.
Yeah, it's all right. A
Last
couple
month,
months
right?
ago. Yeah, whatever. Like,
So, I think that was the first thing that I asked you. Like, what are the
mhm.
things that that are important to Canadian? Do you remember that question? Do you
Yeah,
remember
I
that
remember. I
conversation?
remember. Yeah, yeah. So what was my answer? Was it Tim Hortons and hockey or something? I don't know.
So,
uh,
so I
Justin Bieber.
yeah,
just to,
Yeah, was it Justin Bieber? And I think you know what I mean. Like, this is also cool the way that you did this.
so yeah, so with
Wow.
when I came to Toronto, because again I could not step outside. The earlier photos you would see were mostly home based. Either I've captured something from the backyard,
Uh-huh.
or maybe inside my room. Now this one was yeah, so this is an interesting story. So I am in Canada. The person holding the phone, she's a family member.
Yeah.
She's in Pakistan, and the
Oh
person
wow.
photographing this photo, and you can see that
Yeah.
person in the
Yeah, I
bottom.
spot him right.
Yeah, he's my cousin who's photographing this. So this is not my
What?
photography.
That's so wild, man.
So what happened is that these my family is together, and
Man.
they are celebrating, and I am here just looking at them
Oh,
on my phone and looking at the event
wow.
on my phone. So for a lot of people, for a lot
Very
of
good.
immigrants, this I hope this connects, because
Yeah.
we sort of have to let go of our emotions and let
Mm,
go of a lot of important events just because we are distant from our families and distant from the
yeah.
lot of things back home. We miss a lot of them. And especially, these family gatherings, when they happen, you only yesterday, I was telling my mom in the morning. She called me, and I told her, ma'am, I saw every one of my family who are very close to me in my dreams last night. And she started, she had teary eyes. I could notice she was holding them back, but but it's important. And if you look at some of the shots, the earlier shots from Canada,
Hmm.
and you read the captions, uh, they are most it's just sort of like a story between me and my mom. it's
Right.
it's a fictional it's a
Ah.
fictional write up. It's what my mom is saying or what I am telling her. Have you
Mm.
eaten food, or have you
Mhm.
had
Mhm.
proper sleep, things like that.
Mhm. Yeah, no, for sure, man. That's great. That's great. This is pretty cool. So simple, yeah. It's cool, man. Dig that. Simple, but
R-
it's cool. It's different. Got a great
yeah,
eye, man. Really good eye for
thank you
stuff.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, a school bus, and I think the most interesting the most interesting scene, I would say, was the contrast, the stark contrast these school buses
Yes.
had in that overall scene, because it was cloudy, it was gray, and
Yeah.
the grass was pretty new, but the yellow showed. It was
Yeah, man.
quite elaborate during the
Yeah,
scene.
I dig it. Yeah, it's
And
excellent.
the back, and the story that goes with it was
Yeah.
for people who travel these public transportations and the challenges. It's a
Mhm.
personal anecdote that I faced
Huh.
in my now I drive, but
Yeah.
something that I faced when I was taking the
Right.
bus.
Right.
So I
Right.
talk about,
When you were younger, yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, definitely people, if, definitely go check out. Oh, there's Evans. I didn't see Evans in the chat. Couldn't get home in time. Okay. Good stuff, man. Like it's like, do you have any like advice for people that are just starting out with photography, like tips and tricks that you learned along the way? Or
Yes, I would. If there's any advice that I would give, I mean, I've been giving a lot of advices or I would say, I've been pressing really hard on the things that I value, which is compassion, which is very important. So
yeah,
be there for other people, even if you don't know them, if but you have time and somebody wants to speak to and share their problems, just even if you
mhm,
can advise anything, just give them an ear, because
yeah,
a lot of people, they have a lot of stories they want to share with you. And if nothing at all, just for them to be able to let it out helps.
yeah,
That's number one.
yeah.
Number two,
Love it.
for in terms of photography, I would say, if you're starting out as a photographer
Mm,
and you feel you don't have the right equipment, but
yeah,
you have a camera of any sort,
whatever you pick out, a
just
lens, use
go
it.
out there. Yeah, just go out there, shoot, practice, and if you have time, just equip yourself with the knowledge. It's not very difficult. It's just that if you just have to know the basics, and then you can take it from there.
It's a
The
discipline
more
thing.
you Yep, the more
A
you
dis-
practice, the
yeah,
more you'll get better for sure.
yeah, I know. It's just you just gotta keep working at it. Like people
Yep.
always want like the instant success, because social media kind of breeds that instant
Right.
success.
Right.
Doesn't really work that way because people have been working, 10 years for that shot. So
Yeah, it's a good point. I think
Yeah,
the one downside with the social media is this instant gratification.
it is, but it's true, bro.
You would not have this, and to be honest, if you are going to fall in that trap, you will never
Yeah,
be able to go. Don't go for followers or go for anything.
no,
Just pick the right sort of people who can give you the right advice, because that's
yeah,
important.
yeah,
I connected with a lot of good photographers as mentors, and they still work with
hmm.
me. I ask them the question, make I even ask them silly question, but it's important.
There
It's
are no
I feel
silly
it's
questions
important for
though.
that
There are no
development.
silly
Yeah.
questions though. But there are no
Right.
silly questions though. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
a doesn't matter. It's a question, right? You don't know. You don't know. It's not. It's how you
Absolutely.
learn, right? To be able to, and that's to your point. Like being around the right people or being in the right group helps you ask that question, right? Because if you're
Absolutely.
not in the right group, then you're not going to ask that question that you think is silly, right? Because it's just like a mindset thing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's so important, you know.
Yep, yep. And follow good photographers, man. Look at Brian's work. I've seen Brian's work though, and I've seen the other people's work as well that we were speaking to
Yeah,
on Zoom.
on
It's
Zoom, yeah,
important to look at those people's work, because until and unless you don't learn how to appreciate other people's work, you would
yeah,
not be able to appreciate yourself, and you would
right,
not be able to grow. It's important that you have that
yeah,
open heart,
yeah,
accept other
yes,
people as, because there will always be people who are better than you, but
always,
those are the people who have the knowledge, and reach out to
yeah,
them, ask them how you did this, how you did that. And a
yeah,
lot of people, to my surprise, like I found a lot of people who will, even though I haven't spoken to them before, they're happy
yeah.
to share the techniques, right? Like
They
what
are
the
though.
lens
If
that
you
they use,
ask
right?
them, they will. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think some people think that oh, these people are going to be snobby or they're they have big egos.
No.
9 times out of 10, they'll be happy to help you out.
Absolutely.
You
So it's
know.
good. So it's good.
Yeah, no, I love. I don't know, man. I like your take on this stuff. It's interesting. It's just different. I mean, I just like how you're able to you have a story with everything, right? Because you pay attention. You're paying attention to like what's going on, right? Because it's true. Like there's always a story to something. You just need to pay attention to what that story is and not like kind of gloss over,
Right.
whatever it is. Like actually, oh yeah, something did happen here. It could be really small, but something did
Yep.
happen. And all
Yep.
these little small moments lead up to like the big moments.
Yep.
That's what I've kind of learned recently is like there's a lot of tiny small moments that may seem like not important, but really important because they led you to the next thing and then the next thing. And then, after 6 months or a year, you're in a totally different place.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
I, think I
So
don't remember that there was a movie about it. Like, I'm forgetting the name, but something about there was something. The theme of the movie was around fate, and
yeah.
it taught me, right, nothing in the world is random. Even if a leaves
Yeah.
fall on your head, it's not a random event that had
No.
occurred in your life. It was
Yeah.
supposed to fall on your head.
Actually, Brian was shaking the branch, so that's what happened there. Brian,
We
you're
can't
on
hear
mute.
you, Brian.
Yeah, I think the movie you're referring to is the butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Ashton
So it is
Kutcher, right?
interesting.
Ashton
Ashton.
Kutcher. Yep.
Oh, that's a classic, man.
It's a beautiful film. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful film.
yeah, no, it's interesting. Like nothing happens by chance. Like there's always like a reason, like kind of like in the background. It may not seem like evident, but
Yep.
after a while, oh yeah, I know why that happened, or I know why this happened. And
Yep.
some
Yep.
people, some people believe in that stuff, and some people don't. So just the way that you like approach life, right? So
Yep.
Yeah.
To each their own.
yeah,
That's
whatever
true.
it is, right? So like,
That's
do you
true.
have any do you have any plans this year or next year? Like, do you have any goals with like your work, or are you just kind of like taking it day by day right now?
I'm taking it day by day. Like I
Mhm.
said, I want to go out more, find inspiration, even in a short term. I just want to
Yeah,
go out there with my camera, even in if I'm going for a walk. Uh, but the thing is that I want to feel inspired again.
right.
Um, it's been few hard years, not just for me, for everybody around
Yeah,
us. But I want to pull myself together again and just do
yeah,
what I like.
yeah. You were asking about like neighborhoods in the city, right? And I think I told you at the meetup, like there's so many different pockets in the city that you could really develop like a whole like photo book around it, like
Hmm.
the different pockets in this because there's just so much, like kind of like what you did in Pakistan
Yeah,
and just documenting like daily life, like Little Italy and Little Portugal and Greek town and all that stuff. There's so much,
Apparently,
man.
there's a workshop happening on Saturday night too.
There's a workshop
Interesting.
happening. Said Brian with a shameless plug, just drops it like a bomb.
There
Boom.
we go.
Yeah, you could document that too, I guess. You could document, but
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like, I think we're talking about the meetup, like giving a purpose to like the photography. It's like I think I said, yeah, you could like photograph daily life in all these like neighborhoods and just like
Yep.
show how life is different but the same, in the city across like different cultures. I don't know. It's an idea. It's an idea in my head, but it kind of gives like a purpose to like the work. Like now here's why I'm going here.
That's right.
It
And
could be
that
an
and
idea.
that no, that's a good idea. I think
Yeah.
for me, it's important that I do a purpose, purpose sort of based photography. It's
Yeah.
not just snapping anything and everything just for the
Right.
heck of it, because then you
Mm.
don't really want to publish it even, right, or work on it
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, doing photography always gives a reason to like leave the house. But I mean, if you have a real purpose to it, I mean, it really kind of like drills you into like why you're going there.
Yep.
And then you
Yep.
can be really picky with your shots too, right? Then you can get really picky and say, oh, I don't want that, or I want this, or whatever the case is. So,
Yeah, I think, and you brought up a very important point here,
mhm.
especially for new photographers.
Yeah,
Your first photo will never come out the best. You have to take 100
uh,
photos, and then
yeah, it's
among those
100%.
100, one will come out the one that you might
Yeah,
want to go and publish, right?
yeah, and that's the benefit with going digital, is you don't have to worry about the roll of
Right.
film.
That's right. That's right.
Is Jason Foley
Absolutely.
watching this show? Like, yeah, our buddy Jason, he's a fantastic film photographer. So anyway,
That's
but
good.
film is back, man. I mean, if you go to Downtown Camera on Queen, they're all about film. So
Okay.
it depends on
Friend
how
of mine
you.
just messaged me today and said she bought a film camera for $20 at a
Who did?
thrift
Who
store.
messaged you?
My
Who
friend
messaged you?
Wow.
Madison.
Oh, did she? She bought a film camera.
Yep.
That's back. So
Wow.
it
Okay.
is. Yeah, man. But like we said, doesn't matter what gear you have, as long as you have something that takes a photo, go and do it. Because like we showed, like even with that kid photo, you have the greatest camera in the world, but if you miss that moment, then you miss the moment. It's all about just
Exactly.
getting the moment, right?
Absolutely.
Because you just need to
Absolutely.
get it,
Absolutely. That's
right?
correct.
So,
That is correct.
we always talk about gear on the show, and yeah, gear is important, absolutely. But at the same time, like it's not going to make you become better overnight. It's like you still need to
Yeah.
put in the work, So,
Yep. Yep. That's right.
but yeah, man, no, it's really insightful. I really like your passion. It's really it's really inspired me to just become a better person, to be honest with you. It's like,
Thank you
what am
so
I
much.
what am I doing in my life? Not much, I guess. Like, geez. Uh, but yeah, we're up against the hour, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, Ibad. Thanks again for taking the time. Maybe we can do it later on this year. See what you're up to.
Sure.
Yeah, an
And
update show. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. Make sure you follow Ibad on Instagram. And yeah, Brian, final thoughts?
Check out everybody's socials. Paul's linked them below.
Yeah,
Subscribe to Paul. Subscribe to me.
got everyone.
And
Evans, who isn't here.
get out and shoot some stuff.
Yeah,
That's it.
workshop Saturday. Let's plug it.
Workshop Saturday.
Steel wool and light
wool,
painting.
light painting.
If you like seeing Andre on fire, this is the workshop for you.
Yeah, good times.
Bangers guaranteed, man. But
100%
we're not
guaranteed.
we're not gonna say the sponsor anymore. So anyway, that's done.
No.
It's a done deal. Thanks again, Ibad. Any final thoughts for the viewers, listeners?
Thank you so much for having me, Paul. This was exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, our
And I
pleasure.
love talking to you and to Brian. And thank you for sharing my work. And if anybody wants to has any question, they can reach out to me, or they can reach out to you. You can let me know. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. Hopefully we can do it later this year.
Hopefully, I'll
And
see you again at another meetup too.
Oh, of
yeah, you
course.
gotta come
Yeah,
out
we
for a
should.
meetup, man, because they'll be
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
coming. They'll be coming fast and furious this summer because I love summer. I'm a summer guy, not a winter guy. So this is like my prime time for
It's too expensive to drive anywhere, so we might as well have a meetup, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole other ball game. So
Yeah.
Do we have any
Anyway.
meetups in Brampton, by the way, Brian?
I had one recently.
yeah,
Okay.
Brian's a good one.
Yeah, I did a night walk in downtown recently.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You guys gotta talk, man, because you guys,
There'll be more.
you guys can hang. Yeah.
No, we
Good
should.
stuff.
We should, Brian. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. For sure.
Ibad, just hang when we go offline for a bit. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week for another show. And thanks for watching. And have a great night. And Evans,
Thanks,
we don't have
everybody.
any sound effects, so
Thank you.
single clap. There
There we go.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
See you, everybody.